pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll.
Ram Kasoon.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Jean Francois.
Here.
Sid.
Here.
Witt.
Here.
Kleiner.
Here.
Burr.
Here.
Massey.
Here.
President Rodriguez.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Approval of minutes.
We have minutes for July 18th, July 25th, and July 31st, 2017.
Approval from Mr. Massey to approve all three, seconded by Alderman Johnson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, correspondence.
We have one correspondence from the Village of Otisville, from the Mayor, Brian Woona. I am informing to write to you that as of August 1st, 2017, the Village of Otisville will no longer be hauling our trash to the City of Middletown Transfer Station and wishes to end the Village of Otisville and City of Middletown Municipal Waste Agreement.
Received and filed.
That's it for correspondence.
For the good of the city, we have O'Connor Davis to present with the 2006 audit report.
Good evening, President Rodriguez, Alderman, Mayor DiStefano. I'm Nicholas DeSantis. I'm a partner with the firm of O'Connor Davies, and tonight my partner, Alan Cassay, is with me. The actual partner that provided some of the field work, Jeff Shaver, who happens to be an alumni of Middletown High School, 1999, the class of 1999, couldn't be here this evening. He has two twin boys, and he had a family conflict. So I'm sort of pitch hitting for him. This evening, we're here to present the audit of the City of Middletown for the year ended December 31st, 2016. And you have before you a little pamphlet that we've extrapolated from the audited financial statements. So within the audited financial statements, we've issued our opinion. It appears right after the table of contents for those of you who have the spiral audited financial statements. And the opinion is an unmodified opinion, which is, of course, in layman's terms, a clean opinion. What we'd like to do is take you through some of the significant revenue and expenditure items, particularly in your general fund, which is your primary operating fund. And what we're going to do is we're going to probably start on page number 5, and my partner Alan will begin to explain what you budgeted, when you adopted your budget, the modified budget, the actual results, and some of the variances. So with that, Alan, would you start off?
Certainly. So on top of page 5,
Over to the microphone.
okay. On top of page 5, it's the general fund budget actual summary. Going across from left to right, you have the original budget column, the final budget column, the actual results, and the variance with the final budget, both positive and negative. So for the total revenues, the original budget was $34,918,000. The final budget for the revenues was increased slightly to $35,002,000, and the actual came in at $36,760,000, generating a positive budgetary variance of $1.7 million on the revenues. On the expenditure side, the original budget was $37,405,000. Again, it was increased slightly to $38,467,000, and the actual came in at $35,425,000, again generating a positive budgetary variance of $3,042,000. So if you take if you look at the excess deficiency of revenues over expenditures, in the last column you see the total budgetary variance was $4.8 million. If you go down to the net change in fund balance in the original budget column, you see the bracketed $1,106,000. Basically, that's monies you took out of the 2015 budget to balance the 2016 budget, and you anticipated utilizing that when you adopted the budget. That number was again increased to $2.3 million. The actual results came in with a positive net change in fund balance of $2,190,000, which generated a positive budgetary variance of $4.5 million. So instead of using the $2.3 million, you generated a surplus of $2.1 million. Okay?
So that brings your total fund balance on that same page
Right.
up to $11,202,000 for the year ended December 31st. And what we'd like to do is just take you through, on page 6, some of the reasons as to why you generated certain revenue variances and certain appropriation variance. Keeping in mind that the revenue variances, when you adopt the budget, you have very little control over the revenue side of the budget, but you have more control over the spending side of the budget and the appropriation side of the budget. So you'll see that for 2016, obviously, the city was well managed on the appropriation side of the budget because you generated more of a variance on the appropriation side than you did on the revenue side. Alan?
Okay. So if you look at the page 6, this is more detail of what we just went over for the revenue side. And basically, if you look at the other tax items, you'll see the variance of 1.2 million. That was from the sale of property. Now, keep in mind that you had budgeted 580,000, but you actually had an actual revenue of 1.8 million, and it's all due to the sale of that property. And also, you should be aware that's a one-shot deal. So that's not going to be a reoccurring revenue. So the overall positive variance for the revenue is 1.7. The majority of it was made up from this one transaction. Okay?
Which generally speaks that your estimates for property tax, sales tax, mortgage tax were very well thought out and forecast at the time the finance director presented his budget to the mayor, and the mayor presented it to you for adoption. So they were pretty much on target.
Okay, some of the other larger variances in the revenues, you had the departmental income for 172,000, and that was primarily from public works service fees. The license and permits, the building permits came in at 200,000, greater than anticipated, and the state aid had a positive variance of 149,000, and that was primarily from mortgage tax. Okay? So if you flip to page 8, you have the same display here for the expenditures. You have the original budget we previously discussed, and the total expenditures generated a positive variance of $3 million, and some of the more significant variances were general government support. And contained within the general government support category, there are 15 to 20 different functions, and so this whole 463 was spread across all of them. Common Council had a positive variance of 45,000, engineering of 40,000, maintenance department 52,000, and disaster assistance of 257,000. The public safety had a positive variance of 656,000, and that was split between the police department, accounting for 282,000, the fire department 365,000. The transportation generated a positive variance of 561,000. And primarily from street maintenance and snow and ice, because in 2016 the winter was significantly less severe than it was in the prior year, so you had less salt purchases and so forth. So all that said and done, you generated a positive variance on your expenditure of $3 million, which Nick mentioned this is the area of the budget that you can control. So these results are good. Below that, you have your other financing sources and uses. You had some insurance recoveries, some sale of property that didn't happen. You had your transfers in and out, and that generated a negative variance of 234,000. So overall, the total budget had a negative, for other financing sources, had a negative variance of 234, but on the expenditure side, it was positive for $3 million.
Right, and just keep in mind that of the $3,042,000, that is the positive variance on the appropriation side, the expenditure side. About 700,000 of that is going to be encumbered and probably was already spent during your 17 year. Right. That's the rollover of certain appropriations for purchase orders, items that are encumbrances. It didn't go to full expenditure at December 31st. So that's the difference between an expenditure and an encumbrance. But that's 700,000. If you subtract that off the 3 million, it gives you a better picture of what happened on the departmental side. Okay. So with that said, if we turn back to page 4, what we've done on page 4 is taken the liberty of giving you a 5-year snapshot of what the fund balance is for the city. And as you can see, the fund balance at December 31st, 2016 is $11.2 million, but that includes $717,000 of non-spendable fund balance, which represents your prepayment of your pension bill, where the finance department wisely took a discount in paying your pension bill in December as opposed to February and got a discount. And then you have certain restricted funds, 176,000 of restricted funds that are broken into tax stabilization, unemployment benefits, future capital projects, and fire service awards. And then, of course, you have the assigned category, which is the purchase orders, which I mentioned before. When you look at that $3 million of underspending in the departmental, you have to take off the 666 on the purchase orders, and then the appropriation of $154,000 when you adopted your 2017 budget. And then, of course, the unassigned amount is $9.4 million. And obviously, that's a significant financial credit to the city and your efforts to build up your financial reserves. You know your rating agencies look at that in assigning your rating, and if you read the Moody's report, which I did before I came to the meeting, you are rated as A1, so you're at the top of the A classification in ratings. Moody's would like to see you accumulate a little bit more fund balance, but speaking with the mayor before the meeting, he's telling me of all the good things you have going insofar as economic development, and all of that goes into your rating as well. The growth in your tax base, your economic activity, the infrastructure that you as a city build in so developers come in and undertake certain projects. One of the other things I just wanted to point out to everyone, and I can find it here, is a chart which basically shows the 2% tax limitation, and I don't know how we're gonna, would you be able to pass this out? Sure. If I can have one copy, one page. Thank you. As you know, the governor and the state legislature extended the so-called 2% property tax limitation. It's called the Property Tax Limitation Law, and we described that in the footnotes of your financial statements. But we just wanted to show you from its inception in 2012 how that has impacted you with respect to how much you're allowed to raise in property taxes each year without basically undertaking a waiver and having a 2/3 vote. And of course, if you break the cap, the so-called cap, there is somewhat of an impact on refunds that property owners will get from their school district taxes as well as your own property taxes. So you as a city council and as a city, you've done a wise thing in managing your fund balance and your resources over this period coming out of the recession from 2008. The recession in 2008 created a lot of havoc for municipalities of all sizes, including the drawdown on fund balance with this property tax limitation. So you've done a good thing in balancing your fund balance, your property tax levy, and undertaking your economic development plan. So Middletown is in good shape. You do have some things that you have to backstop. We all know water and sewer infrastructure are old. It's very costly to maintain, and sometimes you have to revert to your resources and other funds to support that, as well as your capital infrastructure. So even though I'm giving you good news, okay, you have to continue to wisely spend your money. And, I'm always a big advocate for a multi-year forecast with all my clients because, you have capital projects that have to be done. You have fire trucks, you have police vehicles that have to be rotated and purchased. You have labor contracts. You want to make sure you can afford those labor contracts. You have post-employment benefits, which are very costly, and you'll see they're disclosed in the spiral notebook. I think the post-employment benefit cost for the city of Middletown, not that you have to fund it, but it probably is somewhere around $36, $39 million. Alan? He's going to refer to the footnote. My memory may be off a little bit on that, but I like to make sure that I remind my clients that whenever you're in negotiations on contracts, there are certain things that,
The overall liability is about $80
$80
million.
million. And what's the bottom line?
The bottom line currently is about $32 million.
Yeah, 32 million. So just so you don't have to fund that right now, but it's an obligation that sits out there. It's accounted for separately from your fund financial statements, but that obligation sits out there. One day, I'm sure the state of New York will set up a trust fund, as it has for pensions, and start requiring municipalities to start contributing to that trust fund to fund health insurance benefits for retirees. Right now, you do it on a pay-as-you-go basis, and it's costing you about $2 million a year, Al,
$2
about that?
million. That's what you spent in the current year,
Yeah.
$2 million.
I'd be happy to answer any questions, Mr. President, if anyone has any.
Any questions from the council?
Good. Well, we're available. If any questions do come up, we split ourselves between Harrison and Newburgh, our offices, so we'd be happy to entertain any appearances that you may need.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, for the good of the city, anyone would like to address this council, please step forward. You have 4 minutes. When you hear the alarm, please stop.
Okay. Hi, Mary Lou Dietrich, Chestnut Street, Middletown, New York. The horror that occurred in Charlottesville this weekend made me think that in the early 60s I was too young to get involved. I had just watched an insightful documentary about civil rights leaders in the 50s and 60s focusing on James Baldwin that made me ask, just how far have we actually come? Then I thought of the words of Albert Einstein, if I were to remain silent, I'm guilty of complicity. Therefore, now that I'm in my 60s, I felt I must do something to rally against hate. I truly feel apathy is deadly. I have applied for a permit for a peaceful rally, a United Against Hate rally, in solidarity with Charlottesville for Monday, August 21st, at 6 p.m. at Jerry's Park on North Street. I am hoping that many people who feel as I do will come out and join me to show support and rally against bigotry, racism, intolerance, and hate. There have been many rallies already in our neighboring counties. I feel we must let everyone know that in Orange County, the city of Middletown follows the American values of inclusion and empathy within our community. We cannot, if any community leaders would like to give a brief statement on Monday, please contact me by email. I have a new email address. It's easy to remember, standupforwhatisright@mail.com. I would love your support. We cannot forget any of the victims of Charlottesville. Heather Heyer, the 2 state troopers, the many people injured. Elie Wiesel said, to forget the victims means to kill them a second time. So I couldn't prevent the first death. I strongly must be capable of saving them from a second death. Let us save them from a second death. Thank you, and I hope you will come and show your peaceful support against bigotry, racism, intolerance, and hate on Monday, August 21st at Jerry's Park at 6 p.m. Please come, bring your signs of peace and love, and join to show the world we are united against hate.
Thank you.
Good evening, President Rodriguez and members of the Common Council. My name is Merritt Winter. I live at 121 Lake Avenue. I'm a past chief of the Middletown Fire Department and remain an active member of the Middletown Fire Department. This presentation is intended to make you more aware of the monetary value of the city of Middletown. It is provided at no cost by our well-trained, dedicated, and enthusiastic volunteer firefighters. As you may know, I'm a supporter of Middletown's combination of paid and volunteer firefighters that are so effective in performing the duties of a modern municipal fire department. I'm also a Middletown taxpayer. Therefore, I'm always looking for a less costly way to provide effective fire service to our citizens. 5 years ago, I made a comparison of the actual cost of Middletown of fire protection for the three cities of Orange County and presented it before the 2012 council. The financial data for that presentation were taken from the 3 2012 municipal budgets. 5 budgets later, I felt it was time to revisit. Fire protection in Middletown, Port Jervis, and Newburgh rely on very different systems to provide fire protection for their citizens. Middletown, as you're all aware, is a combination department consisting of both paid and volunteer firefighters. Newburgh firefighters are all career city employees, while Port Jervis firefighters are all volunteers. The costs were all taken from the 2017 operating budgets of Middletown, Port Jervis, and Newburgh. They do not include benefits and retirement costs, which are also substantial. All data presented here are obtained from the websites of the 3 cities. Port Jervis population is now 8,572. The Port Jervis Fire Department operates 6 companies with 7 pieces of modern fire apparatus. The 2017 Port Jervis budget is $303,833. There's no budget for overtime or retirement because of their 100% volunteer force. Each citizen of Port Jervis pays $35.44 annually for fire protection from their all-volunteer fire department. Middletown's population is 27,653. The Middletown Fire Department operates 7 companies with 7 pieces of modern fire apparatus. The 2000 Middletown Fire Department budget is $2,724,497. Each citizen of Middletown pays $98.52 annually for fire protection from our combination department. Newburgh's population is almost the same, 28,200. Newburgh staffs 3 engines and 1 ladder. That's about equivalent to our first alarm response. There are no volunteers. The 2017 Newburgh fire budget is $5,709,771. Each citizen of Newburgh pays $202.47 annually for the fire protection from their paid department. Newburgh's staffed in-service apparatus quickly overwhelmed and must call for reluctant mutual aid from the surrounding volunteer departments whenever their fire problem is greater than a room and contents fire. Mutual aid volunteer fire companies are assigned to standby or not called to assist at the scene. Newburgh frequently calls for mutual aid from Stewart Airport, which is Orange County funded, or the Air National Guard, which is New York State and federally funded. Another aspect of paid firefighters is their accumulation of a retirement fund, a significant cost for the city. These costs are not included here. To recap, the Middletown citizen pays 2.8 times more than the citizen of Port Jervis for fire protection, while the citizen of Newburgh pays 5.7 times more than the citizen of Port Jervis for fire protection. Newburgh staffs 37 firefighters and 6 civilian positions for a total of 43 employees, including chief officers and line officers. Middletown presently has 24 paid firefighters, one of which is the fire inspector. Local 1027 and the City of Middletown recently negotiated a new contract through 2020, including retroactive increases from 2013 and annual increases totaling 15.25%. Because they are compounded, the actual increase through 2020 is 23.3%. This should not be construed as criticism of either Local 1027 or the City of Middletown. The contract was negotiated in good faith and approved by both sides. This data is presented here to only demonstrate actual costs of fire protection for the citizens of Middletown. A large portion of Middletown citizens are completely unaware of the volunteer nature of the Middletown Fire Department. During 2016, 35 volunteer members of the Middletown Fire Department qualified for payments of $700 each to their LOSAP account, Lengthened Service Award Program. That's a cost to the taxpayers of only $24,500. To qualify for this payment to their account, they must meet strict activity requirements for points and total incident responses. Their account will be paid out at age 60. A young firefighter will see more than that because the funds are invested until paid. The Middletown Fire Department always needs new volunteers. Anyone ages to 15 or 16 as youth firefighters to, look at me. Anyway, there's no top limit.
Chief, we got to wrap it up.
What's that?
We got to wrap it up past 4 minutes.
Say again?
We're past 4 minutes.
Okay. Anybody who wants to be a Middletown volunteer, it's a great thing. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you.
Opportunity to make the presentation. Thank you.
How you doing? Good evening, council. My name's Ron Hughes. This is my partner, Dane Doucette. Basically, we're here to present to you is that a good tournament that we grew up playing, and a lot of people are familiar from it, is the Neil B. Turfler tournament. Kind of broke our hearts at some of the guys, because I've been on the committee for the last 4 years to help get more teams to come in, get players from Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Florida to come play. They didn't want to do it anymore. So basically, me and Dane said we would take it over and start the tournament. Through everything that we're learning over those guys over the years, we couldn't use the same name. So we just changed the name, but it's still the same tournament. Same guys, same people running it. So tonight we're here to present everything, to introduce us to you that we're going to be running a tournament. We want to keep the tradition alive. So that's why we're here.
Yeah, and the main reason is we want to apply for a temporary liquor license. We've done everything that we were asked to do. We applied through New York State, got approved. We have all our field permits, insurance, food permits. So we're supporting autism as well, the Jay and Carol Anthony Foundation. All the proceeds are going to be donated to them. We have entry fees that we charge, but the entry fees go to paying umpires, guaranteeing games. You need to offer something for the teams to come nowadays. Nobody wants to play for a trophy anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, they don't want to do it for free.
Yeah. So all the money that gets donated comes from the sale of food, sale of alcohol. And I ran a tournament in June here not too long ago. And I realized how tough it was, for what they did all those years. And you didn't make any money. I was going to donate to autism, but it was my first time doing it. But now I calculated all the overhead. And in order to actually make money, we do need
sponsors or
donations, or a temporary liquor license will help donate more money to the cause. So without going too much into detail, if you guys have questions, feel free. So.
You're applying for a temporary beer license.
Beer license, yeah, not liquor yet, beer license,
liquor.
yes.
No, just beer, because everyone knows softball players like to drink beer.
Spaghetti meatballs.
When is the tournament?
September 8th, 9th, and 10th, and the sale of alcohol would be Friday at 6:15 and end Sunday at 6:15 when the championship game is over.
And is this through a non-for-profit or just through you guys?
All the money is going to the Jay and Carol Anthony Foundation.
Which are-
The only thing that we're going to take back is the money that we came out of pocket for already for the
Umps fees.
fees, permits, balls, insurance for the field, everything. So
Just food.
once we get that overhead back, we came out of our pockets for that. Everything else goes to the foundation. I can provide you receipts, anything you need, any documentation, so you can follow a paper trail. We don't want to make any money off the event at all. We just want to keep the tradition alive. I'm 28 years old. I've been there my entire life. My dad played, so it just means a lot to me.
Have
personally.
the approval from the SLA?
The New York State?
Yeah,
Yes,
I
we do.
applied for New York State Liquor Authority. They put that through. It's actually on our paperwork showing that we were approved with the docket number that's on there for the permit and the file number. It's all in the paperwork. Also I had to do the Food and Drug Administration to sell food, which we didn't realize at our first tournament that we tried. We were selling burgers, and we realized afterwards that we have to be approved and have a permit, because God forbid someone got sick. But, we're learning as we go too, and between John Bianchi and Neely and all the guys that ran the tournament for so many years, they're in our ears trying to help us make sure everything goes smoothly as well.
Are you just going to play at Turf or are you playing?
We're gonna play at Davidge Park and Watts and. what was
No,
the
no,
other
Watts.
field?
Belmont. Because Watts is taken for Pop Warner football, so the other field is in the town of Walk Hill, unfortunately. We had to move the dates back this year. It's usually the third weekend in August. This year it's in September, just because there's an ISC World Fast Pitch Tournament, and we lose 4 or 5 teams every year because they all go and travel over there.
You have a Middletown parade that
And you have the Middletown Parade that
Correct.
weekend, too. So.
Yeah, because you have streets closed off and it's hard for people to get around. So we're trying to move it to a later date, so it's easier to get more teams and make it easier for.
Jesse?
Is there an accounting firm or someone that's,
Basically, we went through, like, we're talking to everything. We've been doing everything ourselves and setting everything up. So it's like it's us responsible for everything.
And-
So that,
And Jay is actually going to help us from the Autism Foundation over here. Jay Anthony, I don't know if you're familiar with Ray and Mark Anthony. They're staples in the community. So,
I know Jay.
Yeah, basically they put out, we've been talking to them, and anything that we need help with, they're there to do everything for us. So they're actually putting a hand, because it's just me and him trying to do everything. So they're coming in to try to help us run everything and make sure they can take care of the money and make sure everything's acquired for.
Our next meeting's September 5th.
Correct. Yeah,
That's
we
the-
know that the issue is that with September 5th, that gives us 3 days to get everything done. And I mean, I already applied for the liquor license last month, and then they came back, and Chris actually helped me, because I needed actually a map to show them the layout of the park for evacuations or anything, or exits and bathrooms. So I had to do a whole thing for security perimeter. I had to map that out, state that to them, and send that back to them for the second part of the process. And that's when they sent me back my approval and everything. So I've been through the legwork on all the insurances to cover everything, especially with the city of Middletown. You gotta have that $1 million liability for liquor, and also for, what was the other one?
the players insurance, the field
Players
insurance. yeah.
insurance, so we went through all that stuff. So everything's done. This is just the last part of our process.
And if we get approved, I will provide you all with receipts, every cost, everything. We don't want to make a dime off of this event, I promise you.
Richard? The legality from the city?
Pardon me?
The legality from the city, if we approve it tonight?
Do you have enough details? Number one. Number two, what kind of policies have you followed with the use of city parks? And you don't allow the fire department to have beer at their functions. Do you want to continue that policy, or do you want to make an exception? You know, you have to consider what you're going to be doing here. You have enough information to make the decision tonight. I'm not sure you do.
Actually, that's not true, because I did a little Google, works great, because for the past 30 years, the fire department has always had beer on city of Middletown fields. And I actually Googled it and proved it. I have the paperwork to show that, too.
It's a secondary insurance, and they get it. I mean, and it's a city-sponsored event also.
So, if there's anything that you can tell us that we need to get before the September 5th meeting, please let us know, because we just want to keep the tradition alive. And
What
Turf War had it for 30 years.
What I'm gonna do is I'll put it in committee.
Okay.
Parks and Rec Committee. Hopefully, if Tom can get a meeting going, along with the police and the Corporation Council, if we can work it out, I'll call for a special meeting before September 5th. If not, I'm sorry, but, you know, we do have policies, but, we can try to see how we can work this out. So we'll push it. We'll put it in committee right now.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you. Have a good night. Thanks, Sean.
Good evening, everybody. Dave Madden. I'm a City of Middletown resident and co-director of the Marshall and Sterling Insurance Run for Downtown, which is this weekend. So I want to share with all of you and with the greater community as a whole a few things that are happening. First, let's discuss traffic Saturday morning when the walkers begin at 8:45. There will be some disruptions in traffic around the City of Middletown. I know that the city's got a map on their website, right on the homepage of the website, and it's very easy to take a look at and see what roads will be closed, what roads will be affected. Tomorrow evening, Boy Scouts are going to walk the course, and they're going to hang a door knocker on everybody whose home is on the course. And I understand that there's some homes that are kind of like interlocked in between like Wayanda and South Street, and I apologize, but manpower is tough to come by in August. So activities actually begin tomorrow evening. Tomorrow evening, Wednesday evening, we have live music in Run for Downtown Park on North Street. You can come and register for the run or the walk in person, and that's between 6 and 8 p.m. Run for Downtown Park. That's Wednesday. Thursday evening, there's more music in Run for Downtown Park. You can again register for the race. You can also pick up, if you're already registered, perhaps you mailed in an application or you registered online, you can pick up your race bag, which will have a shirt, a towel, travel coffee mug, and a whole bunch of other good information for you. Thursday evening, also at 8 o'clock, is a showing of the movie Prefontaine. Steve Prefontaine was or would have been probably America's greatest all-time runner if his life wasn't cut short back in, I believe, like 1974. That's at 8 o'clock Thursday evening, and that's on the King Street Walkway. Friday evening, ShopRite is presenting a pasta dinner between 6 and 8 on the King Street Walkway. That's for anybody who is registered for the Run for Downtown. If you are not registered for the Run for Downtown and you want to take part of that pasta dinner, you can purchase a bracelet that will be sold by the Kiwanis Club. Thank you, Mr. Massey, and your Kiwanis members. And that'll be $10. That will also get you into the Taste of the Towns on Saturday morning. Live music continues Friday night in Run for Downtown Park. Then that brings us to Saturday morning. Saturday morning, registration begins at 7 o'clock in the morning. Walkers start at 8:45. Female runners start at 9, and the male runners will be chasing the females around the city of Middletown. They start 3 minutes and 26 seconds after the females. It's always a great view when you're standing there in front of Franklin Square and you're watching the runners come up the hill, and it's usually very, very, very close for that male to catch the leading females that are coming up the hill. And those fast people, they're running for like $600. So, it's a good payday for them. Last year, it was a women's sweep, so that's why the stagger is diminished this year. Also Saturday morning, YMCA offers the Fun Zone for kids. All activities are free. That begins at 9:30. Poor Bobby's sponsors the post-race party. It also starts at 9:30. That's a very, very good time. Quinn's Pins is sponsoring the Taste of the Towns. We have 11 different restaurants that are participating this year. It's good for all. It's good for all. Run, walk, just come down and eat, enjoy your community. Saturday morning is a great time to be in downtown Middletown. If you have any questions, if you want more information, visit run4downtown.org. Saturday morning, if you have any questions, look for somebody in a blue shirt like the one I'm wearing right now. They are volunteers. We have about 125 different volunteers. A couple of little numbers which I'm really proud of. This year we have 53 different local businesses that have contributed either supplies or money to the Run for Downtown. We have 21 community organizations who are sending teams of volunteers to us. And I said we have 11 restaurants. We have 4 different people who are providing beverages for the post-race party. And lastly, I'm proud to say that the Run for Downtown, in its 11 years in the past, has given $56,090 back to the community. Every penny goes back to the community. We're proud to be here, and we're looking forward to a great day Saturday. Thank you. Mr. Massey.
Dave, can I officially challenge the mayor?
Mr. Mayor.
I gotta beat you at something.
I'll take it for you, Mayor.
Whoa.
Oh. Thank you all.
All right, thank you. Anyone else would like to address the council?
I always get nervous. I'm Alex Fernandez, and I'm here today because everyone from the average citizen to our religious leaders have been coming up to me to tell me how dangerous Middletown has become. It's unfortunate because Middletown has made some improvements, and statistically, violent crimes have been on the decline nationally. I believe the reason they feel this way is because, 1, we aren't a sanctuary yet, and 2, it is bad laws that make us feel this way because it either prevents us from reporting crimes or prevents our children from breathing clean air. We should be able to report crimes without fear that ICE will unrelatedly be involved. We should be able to report crimes without fear that the joint in your pocket will not unrelatedly get you a fine. Laws are supposed to help the society, not hurt us. How is it that the population of Middletown is going down, yet we are getting fined more than ever in the history of Middletown? 1 out of 5 people in Middletown live in poverty, but that number will only go up because fines and taxes and CPV are forcing the wealthy out. The poor, on the other hand, don't have the luxury to leave. Yet we have one of the biggest power plants being built right next to our schools. They and their children will not have a say whether they want clean water and clean air. So how is this not our problem? How is it that the mayor says that there's nothing we could do about it? Yet we sue KJ, and we even sue our own school districts. Maybe it is wasteful spending that our government does that increases taxes. I don't claim to be an expert in these issues, but I did get a degree in mathematics, and I did work in air quality control for the lead refining plant next to the mall. It's unfortunate that the non-disclosure agreement prevents me from telling the public what I saw with my own 2 eyes, but my eyes aren't even that good anyways. It's unfortunate that even though we have the First Amendment, that hate speech is protected, but my political speech is being suppressed. I can't tell the council that I'm running against a mayor charged with corruption, nor am I allowed to post my yard signs 30 days before Election Day. I thought this was the land of the free, yet the swamp in Middletown only cares about protecting themselves. It's unfortunate. It's so sickening. But I'm just tired of accepting injustice. It is absolutely not justified. So blame our politicians and blame me when I become mayor. Lastly, I submitted a marching request for November 6th called We Care. It's to show support for those without a voice. I'm expecting big numbers. I'm sure I won't have any problems getting it approved. Thank you.
Wait, I have a comment. You say you love Middletown, right? Why would you call Middletown a swamp? Why do you down-talk Middletown?
I'm not calling Middletown a swamp.
Said that.
I'm calling our political leaders corrupt. Without, not personally. It's not a personal thing. It's systematic. It starts with the establishment. It's not each one of you are amazing individuals, but when you guys get together, something takes over. And it's very unfortunate.
Alderman Massey.
Yeah, I take a lot of offense to your opening remarks. Is there anybody in this room, please raise your hand, if anyone contacted this young man to say how terrible Middletown is and how the crime rate is so high and how Middletown is dangerous? Well, that's what you opened up with.
I said statistically violence crimes
No,
have
no,
been
you
going
opened
down
up with,
nationally.
you can read what you said. Is there anyone in this room that contacted him and said that they're concerned about the danger of Middletown, how dangerous it is?
You ran, you talked, you had time during petitions to run. Get your petitions to run, and to this day,
Yeah,
to this day,
next Tuesday is the last.
to this day, you're not on the ballot.
Oh, yeah.
You're not on the
because
ballot.
Today was
You're
the
not on the
first
ballot.
day to submit
Right.
petitions, and
And you
Tuesday
come up
is
here
the last
and you
day.
put everybody down. You come up here, you put the city of Middletown down.
No,
You come up
I
here
love
and you
the
put
city of
everybody
Middletown,
down.
I'm sorry.
So stop it. Stop it.
I refuse. I'm sorry.
Anyone else would like to address the council?
I'm going to walk home. I think I'm pretty safe. I walk all over Middletown. I'm Bob Dietrich, 14 Chestnut Street, Middletown. A couple weeks ago, I did go to a meeting at the Paramount, which was the largest crowd I saw for a public meeting in the city of Middletown. I wasn't expecting it, actually. I got there at 6 o'clock when the meeting started, and I signed up to speak. And they said, well, you'll be speaking in about 3.5 hours. I was numbered 86. They weren't correct. I spoke in 4 hours and 15 minutes. But I hung out and spoke a little bit. So, you know, I'm going to talk a little bit about CPV. I think I'm a little negligent that, and maybe it's because whenever I go to Port Jervis, I take Mountain Road and go out that way. But until a couple of months ago, I hadn't even seen that plant. And then I was hearing from people that I started to meet about it. And for the meeting, I don't have pictures, but it was, you know, the largest crowd I saw at a public meeting here. While New York State and our governor receive rave reviews, and they do, for their denial of fracking operations in our state, we indirectly approve of fracking in our neighboring state of Pennsylvania by allowing fracking gas to be moved to our county via pipeline, thus ensuring a market for this product that destroys the land and lives of people living in fracking areas. To profit from this environmental destruction is not just business as usual and should be denied. Why do we not support Pennsylvania, our neighbors, and their health? Why is it all right in the eyes of New York State officials to destroy the land in Pennsylvania and the health of their residents while touting that we do not support this abysmal plague on our environment? In environmental conservation, which I taught for about 40 years, the rule is that you cannot do just one thing. The world is filled with relationships, and anything we do is going to impact parts of the system that we may never have even thought of. Every action that you take that negatively affects the earth has further consequences. Our support of a power plant that has frack gas deeply affects our neighbors. However, it will now hit closer to home when that frack gas becomes the pollutants, toxins, and accidents waiting to happen that will hang over the heads of Orange County residents, and especially Middletown residents as the closest population center. I have lived with the degradation of mining on individuals through my family. Homes that sink yearly, sometimes to the right, next year to the left. Relatives of mine that have long-term diseases, or had, because they're all gone now, such as black lung disease. Not people that worked in the mines for 30 years, but people that just worked there when they were teenagers. It was unfortunate that not one elected official from anywhere in Orange County spoke at that meeting. As I said, I was number 86, but there were people that came after me. The DEC has to make a decision. No one spoke to support the project. No one spoke against it. I think there were 5 people in total that spoke for the project. This project is going up, as we see, on Route 6. The pipeline will traverse some of our prime agricultural land and some of our most beautiful natural systems in Orange County. You know, we need the jobs. We need construction jobs. However, they should be to rebuild our cities, for infrastructure, for health facilities, and schools, not for environmental destruction. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to address the council? Okay, department heads. Economic development.
I guess he's leaving, huh? He doesn't want to hear about economic development.
Stand.
Well, I want to thank Dave and Anna and the Run for Downtown Committee, because of, you see how this race has progressed, and now it's turned into almost a week-long event and festival for our city. And all the sponsors and all the businesses that are getting involved, and the people just coming out for a good time in our safe city, safe downtown, to have fun, be here with their families, their kids, and just enjoy a great week and a great race day. Also in our city, there's a couple production companies filming throughout our city. Tomorrow they're going to be in the City Hall area, Equilibrium area, but they're going to be throughout, they've been throughout the Orange County and throughout our city. So one of them's filming for a Lifetime movie series. So all this economic development, they're going to the hotels, they're eating in our restaurants, they're enjoying our city as well. Equilibrium, I mentioned them a little while ago, this weekend had over 600 people wrapped around the block for a beer release. They started lining up at 5 a.m. for this release. Again, they're in our safe city enjoying the quality of economic development and events that are going on. Our CDA, our housing, people want to live here, so we're working with our home ownership program. So you can see there's a lot going on, and it's because of your foresight, your vision, the mayor's vision, and all your support, and let's keep the progress going. Thank you.
Any question for Maria? All right. I know how you feel. DPW Commissioner.
Good evening. Congratulations on the excellent financial audit report for the year. I want to just report to you about the capital projects that are going on in the city. Maple Hill Drainage Project, it's still progressing very, very slowly. Right now, again, it's in the hands of the county to give us the final legal agreement for expenditure. And there is some requirement for advertisement that the county had to do, public notice. It needed like 15 days, and I think those 15 days will be over next week. So hopefully we'll get some positive results so we can put the project out for bid, because the Army Corps of Engineers has already approved it, the plans are ready to go, and all we need is just the signed agreement for financing, and then we will go for construction. Again, this project will not cost the city of Middletown taxpayers a penny. It's all the grants that the mayor has already talked about through HUD. Another project we've been working for almost 2 years with the Army Corps of Engineers about a permit to add concrete at the bottom of a section of a Manhagan Brook between DPW garage and the Water Department garage. And we finally got the approval from the Army Corps of Engineers. And with that, we will have a resolution before you tonight to approve $41,000 in a change order for the large FEMA projects. You know, the large FEMA projects have been going on for almost 3 years now. And that's for $41,000 for the contractor, Boyce, because he's the general contractor who's been working on this project for a couple of years now. You may have seen a boring or a split spoon sample rig on Wisner Avenue on Friday and Monday. That rig has been out there in order to sample the soil around the railroad tracks in order to see if it's adequate, if the design is adequate enough to insert a sleeve under the railroad in order to replace a sewer line. That's, again, an infrastructure project that we've been working on, a sewer infrastructure project. So the infrastructure projects are still going on at all times in the city of Middletown. Based on the results in there, we will determine what kind of method we're going to use to sleeve under the railroad, because we're not allowed to open cut the railroad with the conventional method of excavation. The dams, you approved the project for us to work with CT Mail in order to upgrade the dams at Shawangunk Reservoir. That project has started. The wetlands have been delineated in the vicinity of the dams, and surveyors will be getting in, and then we will get into the technical design for raising the cutoff wall inside the dam and other deficiencies that we have to address. Mill Pond, we are working with CDM Smith to develop the water taking permit from Mill Pond, and that's, again, just to secure water resources that are required and needed for the city of Middletown and the adjacent facility to provide for, hopefully, a robust economic development, not only in the city but in the surrounding community as well, by providing the water sources and the wastewater facility. The roundabout, we've been talking about it for a number of years. We're working, again, grant from the Federal Highway Administration through New York State DOT, and that's going to be on James P. Kelly Way and County Route 78. There's going to be a roundabout in there, and we're hoping that we can go out for bidding the project for public construction next month, which is great news. You know, we've been working on this project almost since 2009. That's how slow some of the project progress. We met today with Orange County Transportation Council in order to provide some additional funding needed, because the numbers and the budget were, back to 2009. Now we are 2017. Obviously, price escalation has occurred, and we're trying to secure the funding so there will be minimal impact on the city of Middletown taxpayer for this project. Estimated construction cost altogether is around $1.8 million. um, the wastewater treatment, before you, there is another resolution tonight, which is the mayor was able to obtain $500,000 grant from the state of New York. And with that grant is to do the cleanup for the burned building at the psychiatric center. That's the big, huge building. We used to call it the scary building in New York State, or the scariest building in New York State. So it burned down, and now it's the matter of cleaning up all the rubble and the asbestos-containing material in there. And with the mayor's $500,000 that he was able to obtain for us grant, before you tonight, resolution to hire B&L engineering firm in order to develop the plans and the specification in order to see this project to a conclusion. And then hopefully you'll have a shovel-ready site in there that is very attractive for future development. The paving, today was our last day of paving. All the paving has been completed now in the city. The annual paving program has been completed. And we apologize again for any inconvenience we may have caused anybody, but now you can enjoy the fruits of the hardship that we caused for you during the construction. Now you're going to have very nice roads you can drive on, and hopefully they will last for many, many years. Monday, I want to thank you all, the mayor and all of you, for approving another code enforcement position for us. So on Monday, the new code enforcement officer will be starting right here in this office in DPW, and he will be dedicated for quality of life issues throughout the city. He'll be driving around and just addressing quality of life issues through whatever means is not that it's lacking right now.
We got a lot of work.
Well, another thing, we had the chief operator at the wastewater treatment plant. The new person, he started already, and he is working with the current chief operator who's going to be retiring in October. So the two of them together, they will be working side by side for about 2 months, and this way we will have for a very smooth transition among the two chief operators, and we will not have any pitfalls or gaps to fill. And I just want to mention about, they talk about CPV and everything like that. The city of Middletown is very aggressive in pursuing green energy and renewable energy. For that, I just want to update you that we installed solar panels or solar farm at the city water treatment plant, and that has been functioning for about a couple of months now, and it will provide us about 25% of our energy for the city water treatment plant. The mayor and the council has approved for me to go for the last Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for a very advanced conference in Manhattan College, and they had all scientists and the industry leaders in how to generate biogas, which is methane gas, use it for generating electricity, and what is the best available technology that's out there between Europe, Canada, and the United States, and South Korea as well. Even they were presenters from there, and how to deal with this biomass in order to generate more gas, in order to generate renewable green energy. And that's what we're looking into right now in the city of Middletown. And with that, if you have any questions.
Any question for Jacob? Thank you, Jacob. City Treasurer?
I have nothing particular this evening, other than we've started the budget process for 2018, and it's on its way, and unless anybody has any other questions.
Question for Don. Thank you, Don. Police Chief.
Good evening, Council. Unfortunately, Mr. Fernandez did leave, and I would have liked to address some of the things that he did say, but just to briefly touch upon them. Obviously, public safety is near and dear to my heart, and one thing he did say, I believe is correct, is that the crime rates have been down in Middletown over the last 5 to 7 years. So he is accurate there. As far as his comments in regards to dangerous, I don't know what he has to support that. And as people being afraid to report crimes, I don't know where that comes from either. The men and women of the Middletown Police Department, I believe, work very hard to improve the quality of life, and I think they've been very successful in doing so. And with that, some of the events that have just recently taken place to reassure that and to show those efforts. I'd like to first of all, recognize and thank Alderwoman Ramakasoon for August 1st, National Night Out Against Crime. Did a great job. We had a huge turnout, and it's a great opportunity for the police department to build rapport with our community. On the same token, we just concluded 3 junior police academies within the city. Great success, great turnout. Officer Kristen Beebe did a fantastic job, her and the volunteers, Parks and Rec who assisted. Fantastic turnout, a lot of positive feedback. Again, an opportunity for us to build rapport, especially with our youth of the community, and hopefully that makes a difference in the long run for us. One other thing that we've been doing, and it's kind of been on the low key end, we haven't been advertising it. We've done 3 successful operations so far. We call them jump out barbecues. We've partnered with Parks and Recs and the fire department, and we actually go out unannounced into the community. We set up a barbecue and interact with the youth. We spend about 2 hours. We supply all the food, and it's been donated through different organizations. We do have 2 more additional ones planned, one for this week and one for next week. And again, another opportunity that we're taking to reach out to the community to make it a better place for everybody, a safer, better place for everyone. And then just to follow up on the Safe Summer Initiative that was instituted by Chief Bethencourt back in June. We did 4 weeks of outreach into the community to hear the concerns of our residents, and then in response to that, we had an enforcement action to take within those communities. We partnered with the New York State Police, the Orange County Sheriff's Office, and Orange County Probation. It was a very effective and successful program. And just with the enforcement action focused on those concerns, there are 120 arrests made and 258 traffic tickets issued. And that was, again, to improve the quality of life and make it a safer environment. The last thing that I have, and it's already been discussed as well, is the Run for Downtown. We will be closing the streets about 7:30 a.m., some of them on Saturday morning. And as it's already been said, that the map is on the city's website, so please, everyone, take a look at that to see how the traffic patterns will affect you. And nothing else unless you have questions for me.
Any questions for the chief? Thank you, Chief.
One last thing, just real quick. I'd once again like to thank you for your support with my appointment. It's my 3rd week. Looking forward to working with you for many, many years to come.
You're doing a fine job for your 3rd week. Superintendent of Recreation.
Good evening. Our uninformed resident has left, but I know a lot of people at home watch this on television. I want to build a little bit on what the chief just mentioned. Night Out Against Crime was incredible. People from other towns coming to our town to celebrate that night. The crowd was huge, and this town is a great place. I don't think you're going to find better people working together, departments working together, businesses working together. You heard what Dave just said with the amount of businesses that donated. Kate will probably give you an update on the amount of businesses that donated. We have a disc golf course going in. That's not costing the city a dime except for a little labor. Volunteers are putting together and donating, and it's going to bring another thing, bring a lot of people here to spend their money. And I think it's amazing. These pop-up parties, Middletown Cares, ShopRite, Fire Department, Police Department, Rec Department, working together. The families are coming up to us and thanking us and saying how great it is, and to see the parents playing with the children and the kids playing with the firemen and the kids playing with the police officers. It doesn't get any better than that. And that's how great this city is. That is how wonderful that city is. A little bit of business here real quick. The skate park is coming along. The final pour was done yesterday. We do have some landscaping to do. I want to thank the public for cooperating. They're staying off of it. It is under surveillance, so it's not a good idea to go on it. Once we get the ground nice and safe all the way around it, we will be having a ribbon cutting, and we will let the public know when it is. I want to thank the police and the fire department, the fire police, for helping us keep the community safe and keep people off of that, and I thank the community for their cooperation. With fall coming up, it's time to register for fall programs. Summer programs are ending here in a couple weeks. We have an after-school sports academy that's going to be new in all of our elementary schools. It's time to sign up for fall soccer, cheerleading, volleyball, our preschool program, our preschool playtime. There's a lot to do to keep our kids busy and keep our families busy. Boxing, it continues to go up. We're going to give you another report on the great things those kids are doing as well. Lastly, I just want to mention that Raylyn Berthoff was picked to be a member of the 2018 Leadership Orange. That is an incredible networking opportunity for her, our department, and the city. So that is some really good stuff. And the last thing is Debbie Sherman, who has been our secretary for 39 years, the first full-time secretary in the Recreation and Parks Department, will be retiring on August 30th. So a stop by, a phone call. She is the brick that has made this department what it is today. And a lot of the creations have come from her. She's way more than a typist. And Debbie, happy retirement and enjoy every second of it. We do have you on emergency dial, so we'll call you. I'll take any questions.
Any question for Chris? Thank you, Chris. Corporation Counsel.
Nothing to add this evening unless there are any questions.
Corporation Counsel. Thank you, Rich. Okay, Mayor?
You know, this television is both beautiful and at the same time difficult, especially when you're sitting in view of the camera. My nephew just sent me a text when Jacob was speaking and said, "You look like you're falling asleep." And so I stopped rubbing my eyes, but I have an allergy problem, so I just want to let people know that. No, he said Jacob. No, but on a good note, I don't know, well, I'm sure you all saw the local newspaper with the celebration in these chambers of the wedding of former Mayor Gertrude Mokotov, 98, approaching 99 this year, and also Alvin Mann, who was 94 and the oldest graduate of Mount St. Mary's College and a very successful businessman. Last Saturday, they had their wedding here. We had about 50 people. I performed the ceremony. Alvin told some very nice stories. So much so that, and it was such an interesting event that the New York Times sent up a photographer and a reporter, and on Saturday, they did a full-page story about the wedding of Gertrude and Alvin. And from what I was told by Gert's daughter, Susan, it was the most emailed story that day in the New York Times. So congratulations to Gertrude and Alvin, and many, many more years. I guess Gert's brother, or I think is 103. He couldn't attend the wedding. So there's a good bloodline there. I hope it's something to do with the mayorship, too. I hope that that continues. So that's on the good note. Another good note is when a husband and wife both come to the meeting and speak separately, and you can agree with the wife, Mary Lou, 100%. Her comments about what's happening in Washington and what the president has done and doubled down on regarding this Nazi and fascist, and today was even worse than the other day. And I think it's a good thing for the community to speak. And so I would hope that I'm going to try to attend. I hope to attend next Monday to show my support for that in a peaceful way. But Mary Lou has been at this for a few days now, and we did meet today, and she did make her permit request, and hopefully it'll be well attended and it'll be a peaceful march, similar to what we had a vigil back a few months in Festival Square, very peaceful, and I think it'll show people that our community stands up for the right things. On the other hand, it's always better to agree with the wife and disagree with the husband. Let me get to my friend Bob, the San Francisco Giant fan. Bob, I think, is confusing the Millennial Pipeline with the CPV project. The Millennial Pipeline is what the public hearing was on at the Paramount Theater. Had nothing to do with CPV. Some people are trying to conflate the two and make it like it's one, but the CPV project is already approved, it's already built, it's about $1 billion project, it's not going anywhere, and we participated as a city, and the city council and myself, in providing that project with gray water, which is treated sewage, and I've said it before at some of these meetings, that when you flush your toilet at home, we're going to treat that water and we're going to send it to CPV for cooling of their of the equipment within the plant or the power plant, and then it'll be sent back to the sewage treatment plant. That is the extent of the Middletown participation in the CPV project. We're going to get about $500,000 to $600,000 in revenue from this. But most importantly, and I think, and why Jacob was a big advocate of the CPV and the city participating, is that they had two ways to cool this, this plant. One was to use groundwater, pulling out hundreds of thousands of gallons of water out of the ground per day, or two is the option that we are cooperating with them on, and that is to sell them gray water. From an environmental point, our participation has made the CPV project much greener than it is, than it could have been. This project was moving forward. It's built, it's constructed. They're going to start turning on the water, I guess, in September sometime, testing the facilities, at least the water systems from our perspective. But the DEC public hearing that was held at the Paramount Theater was not a Middletown public hearing. It was a regional public hearing for anyone to participate in to give their viewpoints on the Millennial Pipeline. I have opposed fracking with the governor when the issue was raised to me in the past, and that's all I can do is give my opinion on New York State fracking, and I don't support fracking. I also do not stick my face and my head into the business of, I have my own personal opinions, but I don't think it's appropriate for me, especially on a project that we are benefiting from, to, at the last minute, 15 years after a project has begun, to start trying to throw darts at a project, or even the project, the pipeline, which is potentially going to feed the CPV project with this gas, but is not going to kill the CPV project. CPV is not going to die if the pipeline is not approved. So I think there needs to be a little bit of honesty when presenting these issues, that the Millennial Pipeline and the CPV project are two separate issues. Could be related. Millennial will potentially, or will, feed the CPV project. I'm assuming it's a much advantageous to them financially, but the public hearing on this last meeting at the Paramount Theater was not a CPV public hearing, and the city of Middletown did not participate with the Millennial Pipeline in any which way. So that record needs to be set straight on that. And the reason why I didn't speak is very, very clear, is that we have a contractual arrangement with CPV. They are going to be the benefactors. The communities that need to speak, and I've said it to Mr. Martens when he was here a few times, were the communities like Wawayanda, Minnesink, Greenville, and those local committees needed to speak loudly. And ironically, in regards to CPV, I don't believe there are any candidates challenging people in any of those races. So you speak in the ballot box. If you oppose, you're a Wawayanda resident, or you have friends that live in Wawayanda, and they approve a project that you don't support, and you don't run for office yourself or get somebody else to run for office, don't blame it on me in the city of Middletown. Don't blame it on the Common Council here in the city of Middletown. Blame it on yourself. Blame it on the people that live there who oppose the project. Not one, I checked today on the Board of Elections website, and I don't believe there is one Democrat, and I'm a Democrat, I don't believe there's one Democrat running for town council or supervisor in any of those communities. So shame on them, not shame on us. So we made a business decision on a project that was going to be built and be constructed, and it's to benefit our citizens, and it's also to benefit us. It's an environmentally positive decision that we made. You can spin it any way you want, but you can't dispute the fact that rather than using groundwater, potable water, that they're going to be using treated sewage water to cool that project. Enough of that. The Finance Committee, or the financial report presented by Bennett Kielsen. I'm sure that you all heard the good news that we are in very good financial shape. We do, because if you saw the chart, The maximum amount of taxes that we are able to raise, I think we've increased the fund balance from 2012, from like 7 million up to 11 million plus. Property taxes since 14 went 1.66%, and 15 1.56%, and 16.73%, and then 17.68%. The reason why we're able to do that is we're managing, as the accountant said, we're managing the budget well, and that credit goes to our department heads, starting with Don Paris, our treasurer, and all the department heads. And you saw the variances in the report of which department heads are coming within budget. Every department head came in under budget, which is significant. And we had some revenues that came in, some increased revenues from sale of property, which are also very positive. But I want to thank the department heads for their hard work throughout the year. It doesn't begin just at the end of the year when we're preparing for the year-end closing. It is a 12-month managing of the budget, and all of them have done an excellent job. So I want to publicly acknowledge their work, and also the work of Don Paris and Janet Gallo, his assistant, who has just recently graduated from the, I believe it's the Government Finance Institute, and so she deserves a lot of credit for the budget coming in time also. The crime night, Kate, you did a great job. Great turnout, and all those people that are afraid of the police, I guess they just wanted to come and hang out with the police that night. And the pop-up barbecues, as Chief Awanchu said, have been a huge success. I attended one with Alderman Massey at Sprout Street, and I attended one at Summit Field last week. They're well attended, very appreciative, and the parents really enjoy watching their kids interact with police in a non-adversarial way. So they get to know each other, and also the firemen, and it's really it was a good idea. And I'm sure it's we're duplicating what other communities have done, but that's what we do in government. We look at what works in other communities, and we're very proud to continue working. Only thing I had, some people have asked, where's the next one going to be? But that defeats the whole purpose. So that's one of your questions, Johnson, because you want a hamburger?
Not a problem. We've got the inside scoop.
We don't tell people thus the name pop-up barbecues, because they're not citywide events. They're events that are focused on that little park area or that little community where kids gather and young people gather, and they just show up. Word spreads, and then it becomes a nice neighborhood event rather than a citywide event. So that's the rationale for that. I need to acknowledge Jude and Vanessa, your fine work on the paving program. I've had a lot of phone calls from your residents about Bedford Avenue and Earl and that area there about the entire paving program, and I let them know your advocacy was important there, and I know that some of the Fourth Ward did get a little bit more money this year than normal, but I think you made a good case with the Orange and Rockland damages that were done, and I'm sure the people on Bedford Avenue in that area appreciate it. And also, Vanessa, thank you for your work in that area also. And lastly, to congratulate Ben Bruning on his retirement. I think I may have done that in the past, but also Debbie Sherman. I think August 30th is her last day, and it's many, many years of service. And I hope to attend Mr. Massey's retirement soon also. But you haven't announced it yet. So, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to preempt you. But, we also need an executive session. And let me just add to one point on this guy that keeps coming to these meetings and saying stupid things. A lot of people, including my wife, ask me, why don't you respond to this guy? And I think when people just look at him or listen to him, you know, he's nuts. There's something wrong with the guy. And, you know, I don't think he's really, really nuts. I mean, just his political views, his comments or his contradictions, I think people see through him. So I'm not going to make it a, you know, for those who send me a text during the meeting, like, just, say something back to this guy. It's not worth it. We're way beyond that kind of discussion, and there's something wrong with him that he needs some kind of attention. But for the most part, I think people are happy with, and I want to thank Vanessa for sticking up for the city. When you want to run for office and you call the community you want to run in a swamp and other derogatory comments, I think it's in very poor taste. So maybe I will, when comments like that are made, I promise you in the future I will stand up and speak. I know the chief and others, Maria, spoke very clearly about their concerns with what his comments were. But for the most part, those things are decided in the ballot box. And November, there's an election, as the council president said, and he chose not to carry petitions to get on the ballot. And again, another example of what I was talking about with Wawayanda, Greenville, and Minisink. So those discussions belong out in the campaign trail, not in the council chambers where we're trying to conduct city business. So thank you very much. Any comments? I'll appreciate the opportunity to respond.
Any questions for the mayor?
Who's long-winded?
So they said finance director. Is that Mr. Massey or is that?
No, Mr. Massey is not the finance director.
Well, I knew that.
And I assure you, had nothing to do with the
And that was a
surplus and the
slip on his
expenditure.
But thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, reports of Alderman Massey.
I do want to acknowledge Don and his staff for the great report. It wouldn't happen without you and the department heads. And quickly, the fire department, the police department, and the rec for the pop-ups. They're obviously well-attended, appreciated, and I think good for the community. Thank you.
Alderman Burr.
I also like to thank Kate and everybody that was involved in Night Out Against Crime. Great turnout, great fireworks. Again, Kate, great job. The pop-up parties I attended, maybe the mayor didn't mention my name, but I was over.
Oh, you were cooking, that's why.
No, I wasn't. But Chief, great idea. The kids really enjoyed it. It was nice to see them work with the thing and even get some selfies with the police department was really a nice touch. And Jacob, thank you for paving our 3 or 4 streets that got a lot of neglect in the last couple of years. Appreciate it. They look good. And thank you very much.
Good evening. Yeah, I'd real quickly like to recap Night Out. I said everything I had to say before in our last meeting, before the event, just to speak to what the mayor mentioned, or maybe it was Chief, about our businesses here in town. It was Maria, wasn't it? Anyway, Night Out had over 20 businesses step up to be sponsors for that event. And the majority of the people on that list every year are sponsors of this event. And, to speak to, I really don't want to justify the gentleman's comments with response, but I do want to say, you want to take a look at our town, come out to Night Out. That's a nice cross-section of what Middletown looks like. And we know what it looks like when we get together? Night Out. We had fun, smiling kids, happy families, interacting with our police who genuinely care about the community that they serve, our fire department teaching our kids about safety. I take offense when someone comes to say something negative about Middletown because the people who volunteered to help put that together between rec, just friends that I said, hey, I could use some help running this, step up out of their busy lives, come out to be a part of this, to be a part of their community. I think Middletown's pretty special. Mary Lou, the rally you're going to have, I intend to be there. I think that Middletown could set a great example nationwide for what diversity does. It's positive, it's not negative, and I think we're living proof of that here in Middletown. Run for downtown. I took a practice crack at that this weekend. I'm still having trouble getting up and down out of chairs, but I made it, and I'm going to have to do it faster because now you're talking about something about $600, which I have no chance of winning, but it makes me think I can run it faster. So I'm going to be there on Saturday morning. I look forward to it. Another great day to be downtown in Middletown to see what we have to offer here. It's outstanding. I look forward to it. Pray for good weather. And that's all I have tonight, Mary Lou. I'll see you Monday.
Okay. Alderman Johnson.
Wow. As far as the audit report, congratulations to the mayor. A couple of caveats, but that goes with public spending, so thank you for all who contribute to our success. With respect to the young man, as I've said, youth in government can be a good thing. How he has managed to perfect such misanthropism at such a young age, it's remarkable. Somebody once said it takes a whole village. You can fill in the blank. Today, it takes a whole village to have a night out against crime. And the village showed up and was a great thing. It also takes a great leader, and I really want to compliment my fellow alderwoman from the 3rd Ward. Organizational skills, contribution, pulling it all together. It always looks easy when somebody else does it, but it's countless hours. It's 5 years, and I told her she's a lifer. Congratulations. Thank you.
Alderman Witt.
Thank you very much. I'll tell you, we all hear a lot of things and a lot of concerns from people, and I got to tell you, I mean, I'm a lifer, and I don't hear anybody telling me that they don't feel safe in this city. I don't hear anybody telling me that, and it was great to see the passion of people who just stood up in the course of this meeting and got like legitimately annoyed over that. And I did too, and I appreciate everyone's right to say what they want to do, but when you say things like that with no real proof, you know, if I don't know what the intent is, if the intent is to cause damage or not, but it's just ridiculous to think. I mean, do we bat 1,000? No, nobody bats 1,000. But to come here and make that statement and take advantage of the audience and sort of try to portray some sort of panic or I don't know what it was for whatever gain you want to make is just deplorable in my opinion. And I know it's been a long night, but I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Alderman Kleiner.
Thank you. I'm going to make it a little bit longer night. Kate, thank you. Night Out was terrific this year, and a great success and a great way to meet the new chief. And I think the turnout speaks for itself. So it's really built up to be quite an event. Congratulations to everybody on the budget, especially Don. Thank you. It makes us look good. And we appreciate it. Dave Madden and Anna, and thank you for the Run for Downtown. I hope to see everybody there. Well, I guess starting tomorrow, but definitely Saturday morning. So come out and support it. It's become quite a total community institution. So CPV, you know, we all got copies of a resolution, and it's a little bit after the fact. I do believe that there are people running against the supervisor, unless they've been withdrawn. I saw it against the supervisor and the town justice and such, and we'll see how that turns out. But I know how it turned out when this was first proposed. The people who were opposed to CPV and Brookfield Auto Crushing, they didn't make it. And the one on the council, their town board who was opposed, was voted out. So the Way Honda has supported this full steam ahead, and it does put us in a tough position. I went, it was planning board night, and I was committed to that, but I did get to spend a little time at the public hearing. I didn't get to speak, but I did submit written comments. And the lateral pipeline, I don't think it's really been taken seriously enough by the DEC, but they're limited because the lead agency is FERC. So everything is, it's not subject to secret because it's all federal preemptions. And they say specifically, when we went originally, when CPV and Brookfield were proposed and the NAACP and some of us went over and talked about environmental justice for Middletown, because people putting it in are all upwind. Middletown's all downwind. So any emissions were going to come right to the 4th Ward, to the housing projects, to a lot of people in Middletown. So on that basis, we were concerned. I'm still concerned with their monitoring the emissions and how much they'll pay attention and making sure that they stay within the permits as it seems to be going forward. But my objection, they said specifically, DEC Commissioner Policy 29, environmental justice and permitting, it has been determined that the proposed action is not subject to CP 29. So that was my comments, is that it should have been subject to environmental justice considerations, just as CPV. But the comment period was closed. You know, they had the public hearing, and a week ago Friday was the last you could make the comments, so I set my comments in for what they're worth. We don't have any fire chiefs here. We haven't had for a while. I wish we would. I mean, I know the parade, we'll have one meeting, and it'll be 4 days before the parade, the fire parade September 9th, but people keep bringing up what's going on with new engine 1, are we getting it, and what's currently under repairs, and I've had people ask about qualifications for LoSAP, because it seems to be very hard to meet, and some of the volunteers asking about equipment, and so, I mean, I would just like to ask some of those questions, and certainly I've heard that 5 out of the 7 companies would like to have the parade still every year, and just get an update on the thinking. So one of the fire chiefs could come, you know, maybe not next meeting, because I know you'll be preoccupied with the parade, and it is the last one for 3 years, so. Mary Lou, thank you very much. You know, Kingston did a vigil against racism, and they got, the Mid-Hudson News said 400 people, but we know they got hundreds of people turning out, and I think Middletown can do at least that, so I encourage everybody to come next Monday at 6 p.m. and stand up against hate. It was also Martin Luther King who said there comes a time when silence is betrayal. And he was talking about the Vietnam War, but it certainly applies to racism, and we need to stand up against it. And finally, and on a lighter note, Monday, after you, before you go to the rally, OC is holding a solar eclipse viewing event, and it'll be in the main campus area. You know, the eclipse starts about 1:30. It'll be at its maximum here at about 2:45, and it'll be over by 4. They'll have telescopes and everything set up, and for safe viewing, they'll be giving these out. Now, I can't see anything, and that's how it's supposed to be, but make sure, these are Bill Nye the Science Guy solar viewing glasses, but you definitely need these, and don't look at the sun without them, but you know, we'll see about 75% eclipse, so it's definitely worth paying attention to. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman John Francois.
Thank you. Good evening. The annual paving project, I think, was the most ambitious ever, and I got a story to tell. It's a true story. I went to New Jersey the other day, and I have an older car, so I broke down. I don't want to say where in New Jersey. My car broke down, so I got towed to a garage. So 2 days later, they called me. The car was ready, so I went to pick up the car, driving back to Middletown, and for some reason, the car still didn't feel right. I'm hearing all kind of noise. I was like, man, I need to trade this car in. But when I get to Middletown, I started driving around. I mean, it feels like this car was brand new again. You know, I gotta say, kudos to the commissioner and DPW. You guys did a great job. Thank you very much. I'll keep my car for another year.
Alderman Sid.
All right, hello, good evening. Let's see where to start. Just want to thank all the department heads, everybody for coming together, working together, because that's what we're all about. We're a team. It did bother me, Mr. Hernandez, the way he spoke. You can't really speak so badly and try to represent a city where you want to make a difference. You are creating panic. You are creating hate. You're just contributing to that, and that's not what we need. That's not what we're doing. So, thank you again.
New business.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Massey. Resolution to transfer $20,000 within the DPW 2017 budget to continue the code enforcement overtime in the bid district.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Massey, seconded by Alderman Kleiner. Any discussion? Roll.
Castoon.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Francois.
Aye.
Sid.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Burr. Massey.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Burr. Resolution to close streets for the 158th Annual City of Middletown Firemen's Parade, which will be held on Saturday, September 9th, 2017.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Burr, seconded by Alderman Massey. Any discussion? Roll.
Graham Cassoon. Aye. Johnson.
Aye.
Jean Francois.
Aye.
Sid.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Burr.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution sponsored by Alderwoman Graham Cassoon. Resolution to accept a donation from North Congregational Church in the amount of $100 to purchase school supplies for the Stuff the Bus campaign.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Consoom, seconded by Alderman Johnson. Any discussion? Roll.
Graham Cassoon.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Jean Francois.
Aye.
Sid.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Burr.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Johnson. Resolution to accept a donation from Suda Pugh in the amount of $100 to purchase school supplies for Stuff the Bus campaign.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Johnson, seconded by Alderman John Francois. Any discussion? Roll.
Graham Cassoon.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Jean Francois.
Aye.
Sid.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Burr.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Witt. Resolution to accept the bids for chemicals by recommendation of the Commissioner of Public Works.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Witt, seconded by Alderman John Francois. Any discussion? Roll.
Graham Cassoon.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Jean Francois.
Aye.
Sid.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Burr.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Kleiner. Resolution to authorize the mayor to sign a renewal of a ACA assistance agreement with CPI HR for 1 year with no charge in price.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Kleiner, seconded by Alderman Johnson. Any discussion? Roll.
Graham Cassoon.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Jean Francois.
Aye.
Sid.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Burr.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye. Aye.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Jean Francois. Resolution to authorize the treasurer to accept a donation of $2,000 from Prestige Lexus of Middletown in support of Neighborhood Watch.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman John Francois, seconded by Alderman Ray Consoom. Any discussion? Roll.
Graham Cassoon.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Jean Francois.
Aye.
Sid.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Burr.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution sponsored by Alderwoman Rand Consoom. Resolution to approve a change order from Boyce Excavating in the amount of $41,279.61 in order to stabilize the Monhegan Brook channel banks to 2 block walls.
Alderman Ray Consoom, seconded by Alderman Johnson. Any discussion? Roll.
Graham Cassoon.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Jean Francois.
Aye.
Sid.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Burr.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Resolution sponsored by Alderwoman Sid. Resolution to authorize the mayor to sign a cellular burglar alarm system and cellular fire alarm system agreement with Tyco Integrated Security for the building at 25 South Street, the federal courthouse building.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Sid, seconded by Alderman John Francois. Any discussion? Roll.
Graham Cassoon.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Jean Francois.
Aye.
Sid.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Burr.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Massey. Resolution to authorize the treasurer to transfer $10,000 within the 2017 Paramount budget.
Sponsored by Alderman Massey, seconded by Alderman Ray Consoom. Discussion. Roll.
Graham Cassoon.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Jean Francois.
Aye.
Sid.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Burr.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Johnson. Resolution to approve and authorize the mayor to sign a proposal from Barton and Lugais for coordinating and overseeing the removal of hazardous material that currently exists at 31-34 Bowles Avenue.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Johnson, seconded by Alderman Ray Consoom. Any discussion? Roll.
Graham Cassoon.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Francois.
Aye.
Sid.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Burr.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
President Rodriguez. Resolution passes. Resolution sponsored by Alderman James Francois. Resolution to authorize the treasurer to transfer $950 within the DPW 2017 budget to cover the expense of a back-to-work physical.
Sponsored by Alderman John Francois, seconded by Alderman Massey. Any discussion? Roll.
Graham Cassoon.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Francois.
Aye.
Sid.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Burr.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Resolution passes. That's it.
Audit.
Mr. President, I move the accounts be audited, the claims be adjusted, and the city treasurer be authorized to issue warrants for the payment.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Massey, seconded by Burr. Roll.
Graham Cassoon.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
James Francois.
Aye.
Sid.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Burr.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye. Alderman Johnson.
I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss a contractual agreement.
Resolution by Alderman Johnson, seconded by Alderman Massey. All in favor?
Aye.
Now executive session.